In today's video, I wanted to continue my journey through the main storyline featured in Fallout New Vegas. Last time, I had just begun the adventure. My character woke up in the town of Goodsprings. According to Dr. Mitchell, I was shot in the head and left for dead. However, I was rescued by a robot named Victor and patched up by the doc. After going through the game's tutorial, learning how to shoot, interacting with NPCs, etc., I left for the city of Primm. My mission now is to find the man who shot me and settle the score. Along the way, I came across various enemies as well as different types of gangs and factions. Arriving in Primm, I had my first encounter with the NCR, New California Republic. They told me that the town was closed off due to raider activity. Taking the chance, I charged in, took on the enemy forces, and found a man by the name of Johnson Nash. Nash is a higher-up for the Mojave Express, the company my character used to work for. He directed me over to someone named Deputy Beagle, although Beagle was bound and held captive by a bunch of powder gangers. So, blasting my way through them and reaching the deputy, he told me that the man in the checkered suit, as well as his Great Khan bodyguards, were headed to Novac through Nipton. This is where the story continues. From the town of Primm, I made my way southeast along the Mojave. While I'm getting closer to finding out the checkered man's identity, one thing's for sure, I'm on a tour of New Vegas's major cities. It's a clever design by the developers. It makes the player embark on a circuit of the Mojave's most notable cities. Plus, along the way, you never quite know what you're going to encounter. It didn't take long for my character to reach the town of Nipton. However, it was nothing like what I expected. The town was on fire, it had its fair share of carnage, and there were some strange banners up by the entrance.
Yeah! Who won the lottery? I did! Smell that air! Couldn't you just drink it like booze? Are you kidding me? Never felt better. Yeah! What lottery? The lottery, that's what lottery. Are you stupid? Only lottery that matters. Oh my God, smell that air! Powder ganger? What? I mean, yeah, used to be, sure. But not no more. Powder gang is small time, man. I'm a winner! I won the motherfucking lottery! Later.
Before I touch on that, there was another strange instance that occurred immediately after.
Did you see that? That guy was gonna kill me. I am now. I was just minding my own business heading west when that psycho came out of nowhere and started shooting. He kept shouting about stars or something. Does that make any sense to you?
So, for those who don't know, there's some context here. This doesn't really have to do with the main story, but I thought I'd share what's going on, because the idea behind it is pretty amazing. While back in Primm, I was approached by a stranger named Malcolm Holmes. After playing coy for a bit, Malcolm finally came clean and told me what he wanted. He noticed that I picked up a Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap. Apparently, these are pretty rare, and what's more, legend has it that if you collect enough of them, they'll reveal the location to some pre-war treasure. However, Holmes warned me that a man named Alan Marks has already killed several people and taken their scavenged Blue Star caps. Essentially, these are New Vegas's collectibles. I'm unsure who attacked Jacqueline, maybe it was Alan, maybe it wasn't. All I know is, I'd like to get my hands on them as well, so I'm willing to take some chances. Unfortunately for me, as well as Jacqueline, she just had regular caps on her, so no dice there. Tangents aside, let's continue with the story at hand. Nipton is like a house of horrors. Fires, corpses, heads on pikes, and again, that strange red banner with a bowl on it. Continuing through the town, I came across powder gangers who've been crucified. Interacting with them, the game tells me that removing their bodies will likely result in their death. Affiliations aside, it takes a different kind of person to torture and kill people like this. Who that person, or in this case, people are, well, let's find out.
Don't worry. I won't have you lashed to a cross like the rest of these degenerates. It's useful that you happen by. I want you to witness the fate of the town of Nipton, to memorize every detail. And then, when you move on, I want you to teach everyone you meet the lesson that Caesar's Legion taught here, especially any NCR troops you run across. Where to begin? That they are weak and we are strong? This much was known already. But the depths of their moral sickness, their dissolution, Nipton serves as the perfect object lesson. Nipton was a wicked place, debased and corrupt. It served all comers, so long as they paid. Profligate troops, powder gangers, men of the Legion, such as myself. The people here didn't care. It was a town of whores. For a pittance, the town agreed to lead those it had sheltered into a trap. Only when I sprang it did they realize they were caught inside it too. Yes, and herded them to the center of town. I told them their sins, the foremost being disloyalty. I told them that when legionaries are disloyal, some are punished, the others made to watch. And I announced the lottery. Each clutched his ticket, hoping it would set him free. Each did nothing, even when loved ones were dragged away to be killed. Ha! Innocent. Hardly. Cowardly, though. They outnumbered us, yet not once did they try to resist. They stood and watched as their fellows were butchered, crucified, and burned. One by one, they stood and hoped their turn would not come. Each cared only for himself. As are all crimes, if you feel strongly about it, attack us, and soon you won't feel a thing.
This is Caesar's Legion. For some reason, the game likes to troll its players, and will have you saying both Caesar and Caesar. For the sake of this playthrough, I'll just go with Caesar. In any case, they're the rivaling faction of the NCR. As you can probably tell, they're not the best of people. They rely on strength, primal instincts, and slavery to dominate. However, they are quite the complex faction. The Legion isn't just your average band of bandits. They have rules and lines that they won't cross. They have ranks and numbers like you wouldn't believe. I think it's safe to say that if you can't back yourself up, you probably wouldn't want to cross them. I'll be seeing more of them in the future, but for now, it's best that I continue on to Novac. The road ahead was quite the dangerous one. Having run into a bandit trap, it was the first time I felt pinned down. I got a true taste of what it was like to have the lower ground. I really needed to strategize here, or else I was just a sitting duck. It was during this experience where I thought to myself, I should really invest in better gear. And you know what? Not acting on that would come back to bite me. After discovering an NCR Ranger base and battling against a couple more enemies, I finally made it to Novac. As an aside, I'm not ashamed to admit that I was today years old when I found out Novac stood for no vacancy. I had never pieced it together, nor had I really taken a look at the sign outside. The things we learn. Standing at the center of town, I wandered into the Dino D-Light front office and spoke with the woman in charge.
Well, welcome to you. You look tired from the road. Why don't you relax a spell? Let this fine town take care of you. Well, he might have been wearing a fancy outfit, but he wasn't any kind of gentleman to me. Had his nose stuck so high in the air you couldn't see it above the clouds. City folk. They always think they deserve better than what they got. Those hoodlums he was with seemed to know Manny for some reason. He's our daytime sniper, up in the dinosaur's mouth.
Exiting the motel, I ended up running into Victor. Speaking with him, he talked about how he just felt like heading to New Vegas. I suppose Novac is his pit stop along the way. From there, I had a couple of different dialogue prompts. I could accuse him of stalking me, simply call out the coincidence, or ask more about the men who jumped me. For now though, I put an end to that conversation and made my way up to the T-Rex. Manny Vargas, a contact with the Great Khans, was standing guard in the dino's mouth.
What's going on, man? Sure I know him. What do you want with him? Doesn't surprise me. Guy seemed like he'd do whatever it takes to get what he wants. Probably makes a lot of enemies. Well, listen, I can definitely help you find him, but I've got problems of my own. Maybe we can do a trade. You need my help. There's something I need too. Yeah, everybody depends on you, you know? But they don't ask you about how you feel, what you worry about. There's something I like about you. You just seem really understanding. I was gonna ask you for a favor, but I'll just tell you what you want to know. The guy you're looking for, Benny, he was traveling with some members from my old gang. They were going to Boulder City. Glad I could help. Hey, I know you've got no reason to help me out now, but you seem really nice. Could I at least tell you about the problem we've got here? See? I was right about you. Novak, it's home for me now. I want that to be for good. I like it here, and I've left too many homes behind. But the only resource we got here is junk. Without that, people wouldn't have anything to trade. They'd all have to leave. We get most of it up the road from the old rocket test site, but a bunch of ghouls showed up one day and took it over. We can't get in there now. Well, they gotta go, or this will be a ghost town before long. Doesn't matter to me what you do. As long as the ghouls are out of there, that's good enough for me. It'd mean a lot to me.
Because I was lucky, I got to use my confirmed bachelor perk and extracted the information. The man who shot me is named Benny, and he moved on to a place called Boulder City. Again, I'm continuing my tour of the Mojave. However, I don't think I've ever been that fortunate when it comes to Manny Vargas. 9 times out of 10, I have to do the Come Fly With Me quest. And even though I got around it this time, I think I'd be doing the story a disservice if I didn't just briefly touch on it. I'd argue that the main questline relies a lot on these types of missions to help flesh out the wasteland and its struggles. Plus, it's quite the interesting tale. If you've ever done a deep dive into real-world cults, you'll probably recognize where this side quest took its roots from. The RepCon facility is just west of Novak. The way there is fairly uneventful. However, its exterior is guarded by feral ghouls. This was my first encounter with them in the game. My first mistake was taking them on with the revolver. It's an insanely fun gun to use, but it's just way too overkill for the enemy type. Plus, I needed it way more for what was about to come. After running out of .357 ammunition, switching to the varmint rifle did the trick. I was able to blast my way through the ghouls and enter the RepCon facility.
Hey! Over here! Are you listening? Go to the big room on the east side of this building and take the metal staircase all the way up. And hurry.
As you likely know from other Fallout games, not all ghouls are bad. Some are friendly and quite intelligent. Following its command, I continued to shoot my way through the ferals until I arrived at a big open room. Ascending the staircase and reaching a checkpoint, I checked in with the ghoul once more.
Alright, Smoothskin. I'm letting you in. You better watch yourself. I'll sure as hell be watching you.
God, but are you ugly. Get upstairs and talk to Jason before I throw up just from looking at you.
This is Chris Haversam, a scientist at RepCon. As pointed out by my character, he's not a ghoul. He tries to act like one though, which is quite strange. In any case, this Jason can share more info on what's going on.
Hello, Wanderer. Please forgive us our humble surroundings. Our true home awaits us in the far beyond. Have you come to help us complete the great journey? I am Jason Bright, the prophet of the great journey. All the ghouls you see here are members of my flock.
Jason Bright, a ghoul who's been utterly mutated, is the leader of the RepCon facility ghouls. They're attempting to embark on the Great Journey. The Great Journey involves leaving the capital wasteland in search of a safer and happier place. This is called the Far Beyond. The ghouls were almost ready to leave the wasteland when a group of demons attacked. The quote-unquote demons chased them out of the facility's basement and sealed off the rest of the center. They're extremely aggressive and dangerous towards the ghouls. In order for Jason and his flock to leave the facility, the demons need to be eradicated. This is all part of Manny Vargas' side quest for the player. The demons in question are actually a group of super mutants called Nightkin. Upon entering the basement, you won't be able to actually see them, as they have the ability to turn invisible. Like the mutants from Fallout 3, they're tough as nails and are able to hit the player pretty hard. There are around 6 or so Nightkin to take out, including their leader called Davison. There's actually a subplot involving Davison and a ghoul named Harlan. Harlan was trapped down here with the Nightkin when they attacked. Due to his combat training, he was able to hold his ground against them. Essentially, if you're able to approach Davison on friendly terms, which is tricky to do, he asks for access into Harlan's room. Harlan won't budge though, as his friend is still somewhere down here. Locating the Nightkin jailer, defeating it in combat, and scavenging the rooms below, you find the corpse of Harlan's friend. Delivering the news, Harlan leaves, the Nightkin get the stealth boys that they were looking for, and everyone's happy. However, for my playthrough, I killed all of the Nightkin and left Harlan alone. Simple as. Returning to Jason, he told me to meet him back in the basement. From there, his bright followers put on space travel suits, and after looking at the rockets behind him, You can probably imagine how they're going to reach this far beyond.
I waited to speak with you one last time before I descended to the launch pad, Wanderer. I want you to know that we will remember for all eternity how you delivered us to the threshold of the Great Journey. Our preparations are nearly complete, but the rockets that will carry us to salvation are yet missing vital components.
Bright asks the player to help Chris with the launch. Chris explains that he needs 2 items: thrust controllers and a sample of Isotope 239 igniting agent. The latter is pretty simple to find. The quest marker points the player southeast of Novac. There, you'll find a corpse that has the igniting agent. As for the thrust controllers, well, that's a little more complicated. It's just as easy to get to them, but they're actually sold by an NPC named Old Lady Gibson at Gibson's Scrapyard. Without the necessary perks or speechcraft level, you'll have to buy it at full price, which is 500 caps. Now, at the time, I didn't have that kind of money. In Fallout, if you don't have the caps, nor the soft skills to acquire things, i.e. lockpicking, pickpocketing, and speechcraft, there's only one option left. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes you have to take things by force. Blasting through Old Lady Gibson, I was able to grab her key, then gain access to the metal box. Once inside, I snagged the thrust controllers and returned to Chris. With everything ready, Haversum radioed to Jason, and Mr. Brightside himself delivered a speech. From there, I took my leave, ascended to the control tower, and pressed the launch button. After a couple of moments, 3 rockets took flight through the sky. The great journey to the far beyond was officially completed. Furthermore, there were no more ghouls at the REPCON facility, meaning that my end of the bargain with Manny Vargas was complete. Again, the reason I wanted to go over this quest is because without these little missions in between, the beginning stages of New Vegas' story is just a game of telephone. It's largely, Benny went here, Benny went there, the great cons are now at this spot, etc. Once we get past a certain point, the atmosphere and story completely change, but for now, I'm playing tag. It's these little quests and moments that truly bring out the best of Fallout New Vegas. And while Come Fly to Me isn't necessarily part of the main questline, it's often needed to gain that information from Manny Vargas. Continuing on with the hunt, Boulder City is located northeast of Novac. It doesn't take very long to get there, and depending on your route, can also be pretty uneventful. Arriving at the site, it wasn't anything more than a leveled town. In terms of NPCs, there were mostly rad scorpions and crows. However, approaching the center of the area, I came across a lone NCR ranger.
We've got a situation with some great cons right now. The brass at McCarran has ordered me to lock down the ruins until it's been resolved. One of my patrols was on its way back from Novac when it came under fire from the great cons. They radioed for reinforcements, but instead of waiting for us, they chased the cons into the ruins where they were caught in a crossfire. No deaths, but not all the squad got out. The cons have Private Ackerman and Private Gilbert as hostages. Once the great cons have been killed or captured, you're welcome to retrieve any property they've taken from you. Normally I'd turn you down since I have no idea who you are, but considering that the hostages are as good as dead when we attack, alright, I'm going to give you a chance to talk to the great cons. Their leader is a man named Jessup. If we hear shooting, we'll be coming in, but it'll probably be too late for you. Good luck.
Entering the space, tensions were definitely high. The NCR took cover on one side of town, while the Great Cons did so on the other. In one of the leveled buildings, I could see Private Ackerman and Gilbert. They were bound and captured. A member of the gang was standing over them, armed and ready for anything. Playing things cool, I wandered into the Great Con hideout and located Jessup.
What the hell? You're that courier Benny wasted back in Goodsprings. You're supposed to be dead. Yeah, about that. Don't have it. Benny stole it right before he stabbed us in the back. He's probably back at the strip by now, laughing at me. What's to negotiate? The NCR backs off, we walk out of here, nobody gets hurt. Right, and they'd probably give us all medals, too. Maybe I should kill a hostage because you wasted my time with this shit. And face NCR justice? No thanks. I'd rather not spend the next 10 years doing hard labor. We'd try to bribe our way out, but seeing as how Benny didn't pay us yet, that won't happen. He's one of the chairmen, big shots that run the Tops Casino in New Vegas. friend from the city contacted me with info on a big job. I should have known that the caps were too good to be true, but there was still no way I could pass up the chance. Just a big fancy poker chip as far as I know. Don't know why anyone would make one out of platinum, though. He's a snake, that's why. He owed us the rest of the pay for the job, so maybe he didn't want to pay up.
Unfortunately for the NCR, Jessup's not really willing to play ball. However, he did tell me where I could find Benny. My next move for the main story is heading through Freeside and into the big city itself, New Vegas. Before doing that though, there's still a matter of settling the standoff. Chatting with Monroe, I asked him what kind of bribe he'd need to let the Great Khans go free. He asked for 500 caps, and unfortunately, I was broke at the time. I know, a common occurrence. So instead of bribery, Monroe chose to go ahead with violence. This next step is initiated by the player. By firing on the Great Khans, the shootout begins. I tried my best to protect Ackerman and Gilbert, but the crossfire just got too hot. Gilbert was gunned down in the street. It was by the last Great Khan too. Well, the last one outside anyway. If only the NCR had better aim. Heading on into the Great Khan hideout, I lured them outside and let the Rangers deal with Jessup and his henchmen. After a ton of bullets, Jessup finally went down, and the Boulder City showdown was settled. With all of that taken care of, it's time to make my way to New Vegas. Plenty more adventures await, including the developing story, some twists and turns, and one huge decision.